I don't know why it's taken me so long to address this, but on every video in this series I get the same comment. A troubling comment that I received almost daily for months now. It turns out that a significant amount of the Plants vs Zombies community was under the impression that the walnut was a potato. Now I can kind of see it if I squint. What's odd about this is the walnut's like the most named plant in the game. Walnut bowling is an integral part of the first game, and every variant of the nut has nut in the name. I get that silly mistakes like this happen, but it's just the sheer frequency of it that baffles me. But if you made this mistake yourself and this intro made you feel a bit silly, just know that it took me about 5 years to realise that gold was weaker than iron in Minecraft. Anyway, Neon Mixtape Tour. I've never played this world, but I was very excited to give this world a try. Coming off the back of trying to beat Dark Ages in one sitting, I decided to set myself the same challenge for this world, and wouldn't you believe it, I did even worse. Going into day 1 blind, I was excited to see what the world gimmick was going to be, and upon beating day 1, I was still eager to know what's going on, because day 1 doesn't reveal a thing. I had it spoiled by chat that the gimmick is something to do with the music changing, but the music just doesn't change anything here. I of course quickly learned that the music changes which zombies can use their special abilities, but this level is bound by tradition, so it only uses basic zombies, rendering it pretty pointless. It's just an excuse to sample the background music. I don't care if this gets me cancelled, but I need to tell the truth. I need to tell my truth. The soulful kazoo solos of Frostbite Caves trumps every bit of Neon Mixtape Tour music combined, except the seed selection music, that slaps. Day 2's the real intro to the world, giving us a demonstration of both the beat and the punk zombie. The punk zombie is the most blatant power creep in zombie design I've seen yet. Remember when the All-Star Mech was the toughest zombie in the game because they could be forced to eat the exploder nut, and it shoved nuts backwards, rendering entire rows of defense useless? Well, the Spunk does all of that, and it's sprinkled into levels like they're just regular brown coats. This zombie single-handedly made this world unbearably hard. Get ready to hear me moan about it a lot. The beat's a pretty cool looking guy though, but I've never been too fond of the positional based damage plants. I find them too finicky. Day 3's a conveyor belt level that shows off this world's signature premium plant, the cactus from Plants vs Zombies 1. I can't put my finger on exactly why, but I despise this. Anyway, let me use the time afforded to me by this conveyor belt level to shout out the sponsor of this video, me. It turns out it's really fucking hard to convince a company to sponsor you making nut jokes, so I've made a Patreon. I've had a staggering amount of people ask me to make one so they can support me, and whilst that is heartwarming to see, the truth is that I've been too split between making videos and finishing uni. But now I have just single-digit weeks left until I'm completely finished with university, and I'll be taking the incredibly exciting and anxiety-inducing leap of faith into content creation, meaning that I'll be making a lot more videos. You'll get the classic benefits like getting videos early, ad-free, and uncensored if that ever needs to happen, as well as getting a name in the credits. Once again, thanks to everyone who's supported me in all capacities. The last couple of months have been the best of my entire life. Content creation has been my dream for as long as I can remember, and it's not lost on me how fortunate I am to be able to pursue it. Thank you all so much. Back to the video. Day 4 is nothing special. It makes us take a spike weed, which is really weird, but I guess it's trying to suggest counters to the punks. This world rolls out its unique zombies incredibly slow, which I prefer because it keeps the world feeling fresh throughout, but it does lead to some dud levels like this early on. It did take me a couple of attempts however, because the final wave sends out like 12 punks, but saving all my plant food to spam gum nut at the end works. Day 5 is a protection level. No new plants or zombies, just the same punk spam as the last level. This one took me 2 hours to beat. Unlike past difficult levels, there's no specific difficult part of this level. There's no one wave that's just too much, it's just non-stop punk spam. They're spammed so frequently, the world loses all of its charm, which actually almost mirrors the real-life over-commercialization of punk that killed the subculture. Did I say this was a protection level, by the way? Because it felt more like these little dipshits were holding me hostage in this level. I just don't get the point of a plant with a 1x1 attack radius that can't take more than 2 bites from a zombie. Even though this level took 2 hours to beat, I barely have anything to comment on. It should not have taken this long to beat, to be fair. I was playing really sloppy, and I kept getting distracted by Twitch chat. Day 6 is a very welcome break. This is the introduction of the roller skater. This babe can instant kill anything she touches, which is honestly a godsend for this challenge. Unfortunately, the exploder nut won't kill her orbiters, but it's still enough to kill the punks. This level also makes you spam foom shrooms, which at this point has to be PopCap's favourite plant. They make you use it in like every single world. I'm bored of nut facts now, so we're doing whatever facts feel relevant to the world. Did you know that an average of 15 people die from roller skating related injuries every single year? And in recent years, roller skating has overtaken skateboarding in injuries. Day 7 really highlighted to me that I'm just a natural born quitter. I've never been so ready to give up on a level before. Even on the hardest levels I've played so far, you can just tell it's beatable. It just takes an unfathomable amount of trial and error, but this one just looked blatantly impossible. The roller ballers were helpful, but not enough to quell the calamity of the punks this level throws at you. but one particularly gifted Twitch viewer begged me to use the infinite barrier on this level. It's something that I've tried in past levels of this world, but the barrier lasts mere seconds against the insane amount of zombies this world throws at you. But this time around, those couple of seconds were just enough for the stars to align and let me clear the whole map with some incredibly unlucky exploder nets. I somehow beat this nightmare level on my second attempt. Godspeed, brave Twitch viewer. Every world has one level that is disproportionately harder than the rest of the world, and it's never where you expect it to be, and for this world, it's day 8. No new zombies or special gimmicks, no need to protect endangered plants or produce X sun. It's the same as every other level so far, except the spam is just blatantly unfair. The punk zombie utterly counters every nut except for the governor, who's far too expensive to spam, meaning the only option to deal with them is to have other zombies pop exploder nuts, but if the punk music's activated, then there just isn't an option. There straight up isn't a way to deal with them. You do have a small element of control over what music's playing by stalling out zombies to avoid death quotas, but this is very limited. If it was just a few punk zombies sprinkled in the levels, it would be fine, but look at this monstrosity of a final wave. I count 13 punks. This level was so hard for Twitch chat to watch, they started begging me to use the magnet shroom, citing a previous video where I said that I can use any plant with nut in the name. I chose not to use the magnet as it goes against the spirit of the challenge, but this is the type of scheming and trickery I love to see in my community. I'm so proud of you guys. After hours of attempt, I got the miracle run, where everything fell into place. I squeezed by without having to use a single plant food or lawnmower, and on the last nightmarish third of this level, I spammed the gumnut plant food and successfully stalled them out. This was an incredibly draining level, and at this point we're a clean 5 hours into the world, we're not even a third of the way there. I was so fed up until one person dropped the wisest comment I've ever received. Someone lifted my spirits by suggesting that the world would get much easier as more zombies were introduced, as the punk zombies will spend less time in their own song and I'll have more ways to pop the exploder nuts. This comment single-handedly uplifted me to full spirits, like a downtrodden mother of 3 winning 20 quid on a scratch card. Day 9 is a very welcome break from the extreme difficulty of this challenge. Even though this one doesn't let you pick your plants, it was extremely fun. You start with 10 sunflowers and they're at the very front of the level, and you need to meet a sun production quota, while the punk zombies push back the flowers, which actually helps you. This level turns a testicle-twistingly annoying zombie ability into a fun and helpful gimmick. This level was also really hard, which is a first for these kinds of level. Very fun, 8 out of 10. Back to back, man, that sucks. Whilst I normally put conveyor belt levels right next to declaring my taxable income on my list of favourite activities, this level is an exception. Not because it was particularly fun, but because it's the debut of the saviour of our run, an asset that frees us from the unshakable tyranny of the punk zombies. This level introduces us to the Time Warp, a plant that can reset the entire field back to the start of the level. This plant is very fun to use, but he's not our saviour because he's not a nut and obviously we can't use him. No, the actual carrier of this world is the MC zombie. This guy can kill plants in a 3x3 area, which is exactly what we needed. From what I can tell, he's not bound by the background music either, which is perfect. Day 11 is yet another gimmick level, which is just fantastic. But I'm not going to grumble at an excuse to use my beloved 3P'er. It's so ingrained in me to avoid sunflowers that I didn't even realise they were an option here. We're probably overdue a nut fact by now, but we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for these interesting nut facts, so forgive me if this sounds a bit improvised. Did you know there's an alarmingly high overlap between the PvZ Walnut community and the Femboy community? Every video I upload and every live stream I see a shocking amount of Femboy accounts. I wonder what the link could be between Femboys, a group known for gay porn and prostate milking, and nuts could be. It's day 12 and we're finally back to playing with our own nuts. This level was disturbingly easy. This game has a weird habit of sneaking really easy levels into the back ends of worlds. Just as that one Twitch viewer had prophesized, the introduction of more zombies that can instant kill has made this world so much easier. We even managed to sneak a coconut cannon into this one. Since I've not got much else to say here, I want to apologise if I sound less energetic in this video. I just found out that they cast Kevin Hart as Roland in the Borderlands movie. This announcement was like the modern day "the planes have hit a second tower" for autistic 20-year-olds like myself. Day 13 is a plan your defense stage, and you know what we do by now. The obscene power creep in this game is never more apparent than when you try to use peanuts in the later worlds. This game has progressed so far past the peanut that it feels like a completely different game. Next we try the old exploding nut checkerboard, but the punks just make this strategy irrelevant. In fact, they kind of render everything we do useless. I knew this would be a tricky one and I wanted to see what the waves would look like, so I ran it back with the same layout, except this time I used 2 coconut cannons for shits and giggles. And for some reason, beyond mortal understanding, it just worked. It's like every time I shit on the coconut cannon for being overpriced and underpowered, it just carries the level out of nowhere. Day 14 doesn't let us pick up plants, but mysteriously brings back the sun nut, which is pretty neat. It's also here that I noticed something incredible that I cannot believe I didn't notice until now. When the zombies walk, they throw it back so hard. I will never be able to unsee the cheeked up zombies plapping towards us like that. Day 15 is a protection mission and I'm really bored of the beat. It's a nice pun and the foliage headphones are a nice touch, but do we need to use this prick every other level? In this level I misclicked and accidentally put down a tool nut. I think that's the only time I use them in this entire world. Day 16 is another conveyor belt level and the introduction to our newest Gargant. Now I was warned a shitload about this bloke in my comments, but you guys weren't kidding. Insta-killing plants a lane away must be torture for sane players, but to me this is just another way to bust nuts. Did you know that if the coffee bean was in Plants vs Zombies 2, I would 100% be using him in this challenge? He's a bean, not a nut of course, but he has more swagger than all of the beans put together. Day 17 introduces us to what has to be my definitive least favourite zombie in the game. He's not overly difficult or even annoying, he's just astonishingly forgettable. I don't know what to call him, there's already a dickhead that spins and a virgin that kicks. The breakdancer can kick zombies forwards like a few inches. Not enough inches to please a woman, but enough to be annoying sometimes. He can get zombies past explode enoughs, but half the time they still get caught in the explosion anyway. And on top of this, he just looks pretty stupid. This is less 80s breakdancer and more 60-year-old man at the gym who gets a bit too handsy with the teenage girls. Let me know in the comments what your least favourite zombie is, but I guarantee you do not dislike him more than I dislike this prick. To juxtapose the introduction of the lamest zombie in the game, Day 18 unlocks us one of the all-time greats, the Garlic. I pray you guys never experienced the same harassment I received when I said I wasn't going to use this legend. Trust me, it pains me more than anyone to have to leave the Garlic at home, despite being walnut adjacent in gameplay. It just doesn't have that nutty feel. I do love the fella though, he's just so, I don't know, British looking. You can find like 3 guys with this exact face hovering around the Tesco's meal deal section. This level's pretty easy though, although I did completely botch this one by using the last plant food on a lane that had a lawnmower instead of using the one that was literally about to lose. Another day, another conveyor belt. I really want to hate how much the game is throwing these at me, but I can't lie, they've all kind of been fun so far, and this one's no exception. I adore the blueberry, like easily top 5 plants in the game. When it comes to character design, I'm a fucking sucker for small ass dudes with cheeky smiles. I love this spunky little fella, but he has to be one of the most frustrating plants in the game to use. Insta-kill anything in the game, but it's totally random. Ah, so cool though. If anyone was really wanting to do a challenge of their own, blueberry only would be such a cool video. Actually, while I'm talking about challenges, I've been tagged in a bunch of Plants vs Zombies challenges recently, and it's just amazing to see. But what I think the best part of seeing all these challenges pop up is that the future of Plants vs Zombies has kind of been looking bleak. I mean, just look at this shit. So it's just cool to see a community come together like this. Some of my personal favourites made by smaller creators are Beans Only, which I feature in, Magnifying Grass Only, Fruits Only, Mushrooms Only, and not a challenge video, but major shout out to the guy that brought Plants vs Zombies into Minecraft. It's just cool to see a community make its own fun while EA is attempting to get us all hooked on the gaming equivalent of fentanyl. I'll have links in the comments to all the videos I mentioned, make sure you check them out. Day 20 is pretty easy now that we've hit a critical mass of zombies that can pop exploder nuts. That said, I did need to zone out and ignore Twitch chat to assure I didn't butcher the level myself. I really am my own greatest enemy in this. Day 21 doesn't have the spinning microphone zombie, meaning this level's much harder than the last. It's one of those levels where you can't let zombies trample the flowers. I feel like we've not had one of these gimmicks in ages. It used to be a staple. This is the one level where the breakdancing losers are actually a pain to deal with. They can just kick zombies straight onto the flower line. There's a really weird element of randomness with the dancers, where it's almost a 50-50 whether he's going to actually eat a nut or kick 3 little freaks over it. The only way I could tackle this level was to just run it back over and over and over again because of the randomness. We were at it for about 2 hours until I scraped by a win. I've spent more time here than any other world so far and we still have 11 levels to go. I almost fell into the temptation of starting this level by saying Day 22 Electric Boogaloo, but then I realised that's such lousy writing, and as a society, we need to come up with at least one other funny thing to denote sequels with. What does Electric Boogaloo even mean? It grinds my gears every time I hear it. This world is turning my brain into fucking goo. This level features yet another way to flatten our nuts CBT style in the Nerd Zombie. I'm not too fond of this zombie, truth be told. I really don't like how it's just a reskin of the Troglodyte. I mean, I get reusing content, I've pawned off the same thumbnail like 8 times now, but it just doesn't fit the zombie that well. The pixel zombies are pretty neat though. I must have shit myself because Day 23 was a total wipe. One thing I really like is that this world doesn't just use all of its zombies all the time. This level doesn't have the roller skater zombie. It's a small touch, it does add quite a lot of variety. This level was stupid easy though now that we have like 5 ways to pop the exploding nuts. Day 24, plan your defense. The peanuts go down, the exploding nuts get kicked around, and the mighty coconut cannon erects my spirit tall once more to clear this level 3rd try. Thank you, coconut cannon. Day 25 is a single piss easy wave. Like 5 levels into this world, we had like 4 waves to deal with. I just don't know why the difficulty has just dropped out of nowhere. The world feels so out of order. Day 26 is similar to the cool level with 10 sunflowers, except it's a bit more boring. I do really like the spore stream though. Creating more of itself by spreading spores is a really cool idea. I suspect if I played this world when I was a youngling, I would have really liked the spore stream. This one took quite a few attempts, but we did it around the 1 hour mark. Day 27, something conveyor belt. This is the tutorial for the carrot. Now correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I've got a feeling this plant is beyond useless. It's a single revive that barely ever works. Maybe you can get some value of it if you use it with something like the coconut cannon, but it's just too faffy. Day 28 starts with an offense from a brand new zombie, the boombox zombie. This shorts clad enemy can disable all plants on the map with its enchanting tunes, completely stopping them from attacking. Now this might be a bit of a controversial take, but if you're running plants that need to attack to win, that's on you. The Goober gang is completely unfazed by this, for the most part. Also, 28 has to be the latest we've ever seen a new zombie. The world is practically over now. This level is pretty easy. Scott Pilgrim over here was the last nail in the coffin for the difficulty in this world. But this particular level came down to quite a tight finish, where I needed to pass a reaction test and place an exploding nut down at the perfect time. I normally choke in these situations, but this time around it was the zombie that choked. He just dropped dead out of nowhere. It really caught me off guard. Day 29 is only 2 waves long, and it's stupid easy to stall out with cum nuts. I don't have anything else to add. When every zombie instant kills, it just means we're playing with cherry bombs that cost 3 times less and have a fraction of the cooldown. Day 30, and I'm just flabbergasted by how front-loaded the difficulty of this world was. It started off seemingly impossible. I didn't know if I was even going to be able to beat this, and these last levels took minutes each first try. Day 31 and the final potentially nuttable level of the world, and it doesn't let us choose our plants, but it does give us the sunshroom and the blueberry. I got a really cool nut fact to end this one on. Did you know that in my horrible nut tier list video that I'm very embarrassed of, I dropped the line, "How good of an Egyptian deity can you be if you're not in Smite?" Well, this prophecy foretelling actually came true, and they have recently added her to Smite. However, the god's name is pronounced Newt. How is it possible that the ancient Egyptians could build monolithic structures that modern architects can only dream of but couldn't pronounce their own god's name? After beating the hottest zomb boss yet, we finish another world. This world was by far the most brutal, taking about 10 hours to complete fully. I'm absolutely dreading the dinosaur world. I've heard that it's even more difficult than this one. Make sure you catch me attempting it on stream. Link to my Twitch in the description. Shout out to my Patreon supporters. There's only one because I've not announced it yet, and it's my girlfriend who I've forced to become a Patreon so I can test it's all working. She's a fool if she thinks she's getting that £2 back. If you want your name on this super swanky end screen, join my Patreon. I'll read the name out and stuff. You know how it goes. Before I go, I just want to apologize for not getting these videos out quicker. Trust me, YouTube is the only thing I want to do right now, but I'm at the very end of my uni course and the workload is getting crazy. It'll all be over with very soon though, and I can focus on what I love doing. I've got so much awesome content planned for after this series ends, so subscribe if you want to see what I'm up to after this. Thank you all very much for watching, cheers.